So she's up and coming. She's young. She's making it. She's paying her dues, as most reporters do, going to the smaller markets, and you hope to work your way up. And she was doing well. She was the morning news anchor, 6 a.m. show. And one day she was supposed to go in for her early morning show. And she normally got to the newsroom around 3 a.m., which is standard for people who are doing the first thing in the morning, that shift. And she wasn't there by 4 a.m., and one of her colleagues called her apartment, and she did answer. She was home. She had overslept. She's like, I'll be right there. And that, as far as we know, that other than her abductor, that was the last person to ever speak with Jodi.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So what happened? She didn't show up in the newsroom. She said, I'll be right there. She leaves at 4 a.m. or she gets called at 4 a.m., but she doesn't show up. And then they sent somebody back to go check on her. And it wasn't until around 7, my understanding is, that they got there. And that's when they found this chaotic scene outside of her apartment building.
Well, that's right. I mean, obviously, this abduction happened about 4:30, and they really weren't on the scene until closer to 7:30. The fact of the matter is, I am now 100% convinced that Jodi actually had an overnight guest, and there's been a lot of speculation about that. And I don't want to cast any aspersions here because it was, I think, a very innocent invitation. She lived up a high flight of stairs on a second floor, and I'm certain that she was entertaining her guests with drinks. Would have been 10, after 10 o'clock at night. And I'm sure she simply offered the couch, which she did have at the ready there, for that gentleman to spend the night. And then I can quickly tell you that I believe what happened is her phone rang around 4 o'clock, and it awakened them both. I think she went into the restroom, and after going to the bathroom, I think she got in the shower. I think the guest went in the bathroom and raised the toilet seat, which is the way it was left, used the toilet, and
And we all know women do
then
not leave the
headed
toilet
down to
seat up.
the parking lot.
So you think he used the toilet and then left? Because there was evidence from the beginning that there were 2 wine glasses on her counter, like next to each other. And there was a fair amount of food in the apartment, and the toilet seat was up. So there's been speculation over the years about whether there had been somebody staying overnight. But her bed was made. I mean, she could have just made her bed in the morning, like many people do. Do we have a theory of who that was, Steve?
Well, actually, I do. I think it's one of 2 people, neither of whom have taken a lie detector test, and neither of whom, have come clean. And there are some reasons why they might not want to have that information be known. But I think at this juncture, they have an obligation really to help solve this crime, because I think that what happened is they went down to the parking lot to, scurry out of there. And by the way, when this individual got in their little sports car and drove out of the parking lot, they nearly hit an early morning jogger who reported the whole incident. And I think what happened was they went down to the parking lot, and there was a gentleman waiting down there that exchanged words with this individual and told him basically to get the hell out of here and don't ever come back.
And you think that individual is the one who took Jodi. You're not suggesting the person who hurt Jodi is the person who was in her apartment that night.
That's correct. I'm just more than certain of it, and I've confirmed this with so many angles and little minute distinction of information that I think it's so crystal clear now that I actually think, if I could work with somebody like you, I think we could have a circumstantial case built and ready to go in short order. But that's not going to happen in Mesa City, Iowa.
Wait, you have a circumstantial case that she had a man in the apartment that night, or that you know who the killer is?
That I know who the killer is. Yes.
Oh, well, that's bigger than knowing who the man is. All right, hold on, because we're definitely going to get to that.
Okay.
Did she was seeing, friends with John, is it Van Cise?
That's correct. John Van Cise
Okay.
was a very affable corn seed salesman, 22 years older than Jodi, who moved to town. He owned a water ski boat. He loved to drink in the bars and celebrate and buy drinks for all Jodi and her friends. And they met fairly early on after he was divorced and moved to town, and they hung out a lot together. And it was very innocent for the most part. I mean, Jodi had no interest in him really, but she enjoyed being with him. He was fun, he was entertaining, and he bought all the drinks.
There's a documentary out about Jodi's case on Hulu right now. It's called Her Last Broadcast: The Abduction of Jodi Huisentruit. And they talk about John and how police did, of course, consider him as a possible person of interest when this thing first broke. Here's a little of that from the documentary in SOT 54.
Detectives approach this man. His name's John Van Cise. He just throws out there that he has this videotape of a birthday party. And I know that the officers that initially were confused, they wrote about this. What does that have to do with anything? What videotape? He says, I am friends with Jodi and I was just with her last night watching a videotape. This is the first encounter we really had with anybody that knew Jodi other than her own employees at work.
But John Van Cise consistently denied involvement. He died last December, and he took polygraph tests prior to his death, which I presume led nowhere because he was never arrested. Has he been ruled out? I mean, obviously he's deceased now, but was he ruled out?
Well, he wasn't.
Because he was in her life. He definitely seemed like he was into her. Here's a bit more on John from the documentary. Again, this is on Hulu, and it's called Her Last Broadcast: The Abduction of Jodi Huisentruit.
John Van Cise has always been considered a person of interest in this case because she is, like, super close to John.
She's been such a big part of my life here lately, and she just makes me feel so good and feel great about things. That's Jodi. I mean, you can't help but love that woman. You just can't help but love her.
I thought it was very odd, and so did a lot of other people, that he spent so much time with Jodi, and he was so much older than her.
Every once in a while, something comes along that reminds us of the power of storytelling. Something bold, meaningful, and grounded in faith. The Pendragon Cycle, Rise of the Merlin, is a new 7-part series from the Daily Wire based on the novels by Stephen R. Lawhead. In the series, as pagan gods fall silent and empires collapse, one man's faith lights the spark of a civilization reborn. It's a story about courage, order, and moral clarity. It's the kind of story Hollywood does not make anymore. Through blood, faith, and sacrifice, Merlin becomes the bridge between myth and history and shapes the destiny of kings. The Pendragon Cycle, Rise of the Merlin, premieres exclusively on Daily Wire Plus on January 22nd, 2026. Watch the new trailer now at pendragonseries.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.